controlling the back from the seatbelt both hooks in. There's a couple of key details here that are really important. Let's shift our hips a little bit. The first one is actually not having any space here. I see a lot of guys when they control the back, especially the white and blue belts, they round their back here and they get lazy where you can fit something through the middle. You have to think big chest so that you close off all this space so nothing goes through here. If you leave a little bit of space, he's gonna be able to slip his hips out. Go out. There, and he's gonna start shrimping out the back door, which isn't good. We wanna make sure that when we're in this position, we set our seatbelt and then we big chest it as we pull and elongate him here. That way he's nice and flat. If he's in a ball here and we try to sit back, he tends to slip out that back door and we have to start looking for other things. So that's the first thing to pay attention to, is how much is his back stuck to your chest, and are you elongating his legs away from his shoulders? So a little quarter turn here. When we're here, keep your knees to your chest. If we roll back and we're here, this isn't necessarily helping us because his knees are so close. What we want to focus on is actually that separation. So a high pull into position where I'm extending him out, and now his whole chest is open because his legs are up. When he tries to bring this bottom knee up here, it's hard to do. I'm using my leg actively to keep him down. It's not lazily here where he can curl into a ball. And now he's in close and he starts to peel the hooks out and things start to happen. The other thing that's really important is which side we fall to. Technically, this is the right side. We always fall to this side to set the chokes. For me, I always like to fall to the head side and use my chin as a hook against his shoulder. That way, he struggles to put his head on the mat. He's gonna have to look down and up to get that back to the floor when I'm here. Whereas if we switch our arms and we're here, he's gonna really struggle to back himself out because my hand works as a block. So this is the basic position of controlling the back, where we stab him in the heart and we cover it up. One of the things that a lot of the mistakes beginners make is they grab their wrist. They grab his wrist. I want to take the ball of my palm and I want to cover my pinky with it. And then this is my seatbelt, where I stab and I pull up. You can see that high pull climb up his body so I'm nice and close to his chest. If I take my hand here, it's easy for him to grab the wrist, peel it off, slip the head, and now he's working himself out. When I use my hand as a defense, now when he goes 2-on-1 on that hand, he's above that and I can keep it peeled in and I can slip a hand through to feed, and now I have a 2-on-1 battle to start feeding chokes. So by protecting the hand, we open up the opportunities where he can't 2-on-1 our hand because we're not blocking it. And when we cover it, when he goes above the wrist to break it, we can peel, isolate, and then look to finish the match because it's a 2 hands to 1 gripping battle. So as a quick little review here, we want to focus on our back being to our partner's chest, making sure that we're separating his legs from his chest with a high pull so that this distance is covered. I don't want his knees coming up to his chest. We can do that. We can do that same high pull when we fall to the side by extending and dragging those hands high up into the chest where we can look to feed the chokes. The other thing that's important is our actual wrist position, where when I stab over, I'm not coming up high, leaving my wrist exposed for him to slip the hand to the other side of the head. I'm covering my pinky and then pulling up so that he can't get to my hand to break the grip.
Let's
take a look at a simple collar choke from the back that we make a little bit more complicated because we plan on our opponent actually escaping the position. And when we get the choke, it doesn't happen because of anything we do, it happens because of what our opponent's doing and we know to counter it. So we're gonna be on the back and we're gonna set a seatbelt. What I always like to do from this position is when I'm here, is I always fall to the wrong side. I use my chin as a hook on his shoulder and my foot goes to the hip. That way I can cheat over and I can get my ear to his ear nice and tight. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hang out for a second and then my partner's gonna grab this top wrist and he's gonna start pulling it off so that I can't choke. This 2-on-1 is what I'm really looking for. So I'm gonna be in here nice and tight. I'm gonna be acting like I'm looking for the feed. He's gonna be pushing it off. As he does that, he's gonna try to put his back on the floor and then I'm gonna let my leg drop so that he can start escaping and driving out and over out the back. It's one of the most common ways out of the back when we're on the wrong side. Just control that top hand and slip right out. One more time. We're here. He's just gonna grab, slip right out, push, 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 and he's out the back. So now that we know that that's common, I know how to counter it. And I'm just gonna time my switch, okay? When we're here and we fall to the side, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our thumb as a hook inside the gi so that it opens. I have my grip, he goes 2-on-1, he's gonna push it away. I'm gonna hook the gi with my thumb. When that happens, I'm gonna shrimp out and bring my hand in and feed the grip in. That way I have it. Once I sit back, I can come up and now I have the back. Even if he steps out with this leg and comes up, it's easy to step up, sit him up. Again, I'm on the wrong side, but I have both feet on the opposite hip, both collars, hands go away, leg can come up. We can even cross the ankles and finish the choke from there. The key is just timing the switch, knowing he's trying to escape. So, scoot over. There you go. Boom. Standard seatbelt. We're falling to the wrong side, head nice and close to his ear, and we're gonna make him fight out. He's pushing, we hook the inner part of the gi, we switch, and now look, it's nice and open. All I have to do is set my grip. He's gonna quickly change his hands to my other one, and that's gonna let me come underneath and establish another grip. A lot of times they clear this leg to put their back on the floor. It's okay. I can leave this foot in or I can bring it out, get up on my elbow, step back over, sit him up. Feet can cross, we can open him up. There's a lot of different grips we can take from here, but double collar for me is the best because it really avoids the spinning where we extend away, push, and finish the choke. Let's take a look a little bit faster here, where my opponent is just really trying to get out and he's moving quickly. We're here, we fall to the wrong side, he's going to get out, there, we switch, I'm already out. He's cleared the bottom leg, so I hip escaped, and now I'm extending and I'm pulling up, driving in, setting that other hand, throwing it up, finishing the choke. So a basic cross choke from the back or collar choke from the back with a little bit more complicated of a switch for the finish to trick the partner. Let's take a look at how we defend getting attacked once somebody has our back. So he's got my back, he's got both hooks in, and he has the seat belt. For me, I like falling to the dangerous side because it lets me know where I'm in trouble and the only thing I have to focus on. If I fall to the wrong side and then I start controlling this hand, it's not that hard for him to pop that hand up and over, and now he throws it through. I'd rather know that he's already on that side and then just fight this hand off, knowing that this hand, if I get this off, he comes over, that's just my way out. I can just slip out that way. But I also know that I'm really putting myself in danger by falling to this side. But if I follow a couple of key points and steps, I can really negate his ability to attack this position, and I can focus on the legs to get out. Because he, the guy attacking, is going to be stubborn at getting this hand deep on the collar or setting a rear naked choke because he knows it's his attacking hand. At some point, if I stay here long enough, he's going to get frustrated. He's going to start throwing this hand deep, and that's when I can look to escape. When I have this hand isolated and it also pinned to the mat, rather than the other way where we're here and now I fight this hand off because he can still choke me from here. This isn't good. It's not that hard for him to put the foot on the hip, make the turn, and now I have to work on controlling it from here. I'm still in a lot of trouble. Even if I do it, he switches his hands and I'm back in the same position. So let's just skip the step of switching sides and just say, you know what? I want to fight this already. Like, I'm already losing. Let's just put all our eggs in one basket and say, this is the hand I have to attack and this is what I'm doing. So from here, the big thing for me is clamping down on this top side arm, okay? If I can clamp this down to a point where it's in, but my hand isn't holding on so it's stuck. So now try to slide your hand out. Try to slide that hand out. It's stuck. But my hand, look, it still has mobility. It's not up and here, and it's also not locked down. That's step number one, so that when he's here, I'm going to clamp it, and now I'm playing defense so that he can't take this hand out. The big key there is, once it's there, he's not able to use this leg to come up over his arm and then feed my leg through and then go 2-on-1 grip because it's stuck under my arm. A lot of guys like to push it down, step over, and now he can slide it out and I'm in a lot of trouble. If I can keep it pinched up nice and high, even when he pushes it down, I'm keeping it up in this frame to defend the choke, so my hand is always working in a position. I never let it go down my chest. It always stays up nice and tall, ready to stop this hand from coming through. And then my other hand can play defense. So even though he's got his seatbelt, I'm going to clamp this down. My hand's going underneath his hand to control the fingers. Even though he's doing a good job of covering, I care more about controlling all of the hands than being over the top. Because then again, it's easy for him to peel, snap it down, and then work the chokes. So my top hand is key. It's coming underneath the hands, and I'm controlling here. Now that my hand, my left, is controlling the choking hand. Okay, take this out. Take it out. It's controlling this. Imagine his hand is through, and I'm controlling the end of his hand. I don't need this one anymore, which means I don't have to be here. I can leave for a few seconds and start focusing on the feet. It doesn't have to stay here and go, you're never going to get me. I can use it to try to free a leg and then slip out and now work it out. I don't have to stay here, so when it's back through, if I can get that grip on the hand, I can leave. If he all of a sudden snaps his hand out, nope, this one, he snaps it out, I have to make sure I grab it so that he doesn't feed the choke. So when we're in here, when he tries to go in and choke me, I can come up and grab it, peel it back, and put it back in my other hand and look to defense. And it's that switching that's really important. So when we're here, he's got his grip. I come underneath. I'm setting it. My other hand is working to get out, and then he's going to go for the choke. I'm going to come back up, and then I'm going to feed it back into my other hand. So my one hand essentially is controlling both so that I can work to get out. I can use my feet. I can do a lot of different things. And now that I'm here, I can 2-on-1, pass it to the other side, and look to get out the back. So using one hand to control both freely while he's in that position, I'm using my other hand to get out of the legs, coming back up when I have to, and using that back and forth to work my way out of the back safely. Escaping the back. It's not a complicated concept, but people make it very complicated by trying to escape into positions where they can gain an advantage instead of treating it as, I'm in a lot of danger Let's just try to get into less danger and then a little bit less danger until we're back to neutral, instead of going from I'm really losing until I'm kind of winning. We want to make sure we hit the steps to get back to neutral first and then work on trying to get the advantage. So my partner's going to have my back. We're going to make a little turn here. He's going to be right side over. So I'm going this way. I'm driving up at an angle and through him. So I don't want to curl my partner to the floor. This is not what I want. This is dangerous for me. What I want to focus on is driving back and up at an angle. So I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to go underneath and I'm going to control his other hand and I'm going to clamp this hand down. My other hand is going to pull up and I'm going to take my feet and I'm going to drive in. From here, I'm going to quickly come down and then circle my leg. 1, 2. Come up 2 on 1, fall to the side. I'm now going to step on his foot. My left is stepping on it, shrimping my hips out. But when I shrimp out, I'm going back out. I'm going to keep his hands where they are, and I'm going to pull out so that my head hits the floor. Hips fall, and now my partner's going to react in some kind of fashion, and I'm basically going to scoot and shoulder walk until we're back into that neutral position. So, one more time from that seated up position where my back gets taken, I'm going to hold in nice and tight, hold his arm down, drive up. When we're in this middle ground, I'm going to take a quick opportunity to hit and circle my leg. 1, 2, step on it, step on it. 2 on 1 the hand. Don't move his hand up. Keep it where it is. Circle yourself out so that he doesn't move. And then shrimp, and now start shoulder walking sideways until your knees can come back in front and you can play a different guard. Let's take another look at it, but from the downside on how we accomplish that. So if you come to my back over here, let's say he has it, but we're already curled here. We're already inside. How do we do that? It comes from the bottom leg. I'm going to keep everything in here nice and clamped. And now what I'm going to do is try to put his back on the floor by using my leg. I'm going to take my leg and I'm going to step up so that my knee is turning in towards him to drop it off. Okay, so I step up, I turn it. My hand protects, because when I go like this, sometimes guys like to switch it and go into mount and start coming up and start working themselves all the way up into mount. So my right hand has to be free. That way I can catch that leg on that transition to mount. The key to this is to give him a little bit of daylight where he's like, I can get somewhere better, and then we can counter and work and escape. So I'm controlling that side. We're down here nice and tight. I'm fighting. I'm going to come up. Now that I'm here, I turn my hips and I catch. When he comes over, there it is, in my hand. I'm going to throw my leg over, and now I'm going to take my foot out because I can use my hook on his foot to turn it. My head hits the floor, my back is flat. We push, open, shrimp, and now we're looking to do a different game for jiu-jitsu. You can play open, you can shoot right into closed guard. It really depends on your preference from there. One more time. We're here. We're going to curl ourselves down. We're controlling. I'm going to quickly step up. Sometimes I have to take my hand and throw it over. A lot of times though, I can just turn it. Step over, my leg comes over, and I hook his foot. Even if I can't get it hooked, it's important to come over. Toes live. We don't have to step on this one because my hip is keeping his whole leg to the floor because of how we got out. We're coming over, we're hooking, we're 2 on 1-ing, both hands. Shrimp yourself out, back to floor. Shoulder walk, knee comes inside, and now we're looking to play from a safer position. Let's take a look at controlling the turtle position so that we can set up some effective attacks. When we're in this position, A lot of times I see a lot of the blue and white belts really struggle to actually maintain the person staying here long enough to actually set chokes and set arm bars and get the hooks in. I see a lot of them just kind of jump up on top and they set a seatbelt, and then what happens is the guy on bottom just rolls over. And then all of a sudden they end up in half guard, guy pushes them off the chest, and then before they know it, this guy's going full guard, and they went from almost winning to now I'm fighting from basically a losing position. We have to make sure we don't allow that to happen. Because once they're in turtle, even though you haven't scored points, whether you're passing or you swept the guy over and he ends up here, this is a great position to finish from. And here's some of the things we want to focus on. Let's turn a little bit. My knee and leg matches his leg. So I'm going to lay it right next to his. Now if you notice, his hip is higher than mine. I can't let that happen. I have to come up and then sit in the pocket. There's a little pocket right here on his thigh where you can place your fist. That's right where you want your hip bone to go, right there. So when he's down, go to your partner and you can feel where that hip is. Take your hip and sit in that pocket. My elbow holds the hip. From here, I'm going to put my right hand, let's change sides. My elbow is on the hip. My weight is on my partner because again, I'm sitting in that pocket. You can see him bouncing as I push my hip. Control that, and then we're coming inside and we're touching the chest. As far as that goes, so as far as my hand comes in, that's where my hand goes down on the chest. I don't take my elbow off to come deeper because he's gonna grab it and roll it. I don't want that. I wanna keep it here, and then my hand comes through, and now I set my seatbelt where I stab him in the heart and I cover it up from here, where I'm slightly off the side until I'm ready to attack, and then go for the submission. Until then, I'm hanging out right here so that when he tries to roll over, I'm basically heavy. And when he goes, he slows down enough where I can get right into side control and I can lock this down and really punish him for trying to leave the turtle. Let's go back, head facing there, please. When we're here, turn a little bit. The other thing to note is when I have this position, my foot is up. I'm not lazily sitting next to him. I'm actively putting pressure with my hip, trying to push him down so that I can set these hands in a lot. So we're here, inside, sit up for me. Look, this is where my grip is. That's it. That's as far as my hand goes. I don't reach out and come farther. I keep my elbow tucked and my hand goes to my other one, which is set a nice deep seatbelt. When he's down and I'm hanging out in this position, now we can start looking at stepping over, opening up the choking hand so that we're again 2-on-1 to really throw it through. We can look at deep seatbelts and collapsing to take the back. We can look at putting the knee inside and coming higher to set the clock chokes. But the initial thing we really have to focus on, can we go to your back? Back. Other way. On your back. On my back. Is when I pass his guard here and he rolls, I make sure that as he's going, I shut down the ability for him to roll through. A lot of guys, especially in competitions, when you're about to pass their guard, they try to roll and then recover very quickly. They're just going to turn, and recover, and then you don't really gain much from the position. So it's on that recovery, no, let's go back. It's on that recovery where I pass his guard, my elbow attaches to his hip, he's rolling over, I attach my hip to his hip, and then we secure this position until I'm ready to move on. I want to make sure I give myself the opportunity to look for the submissions and look for the hooks and not let him just go, I'm not going to let you pass, I'm going to roll to turtle, and then I'm going to recover my guard and look to attack only down an advantage. Let's look at a submission we can do once we've established control of the turtle and we're actually in the position long enough to make a submission attempt. So we're again, heavy hip. We're gonna find that point with our fist. Go ahead and ball up. Where I can place that fist. That's right where I want my hip to keep him in position. and we're gonna be here. I'm gonna take a grip on the collar just to help keep his head down so that when I'm here, go ahead and ball up. When I'm here, I basically just want to be attached to him so that if he rolls, I roll with him. When we're here, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hand and we're going to reach through. And he's obviously going to play a defense. He's not just going to let me take my hand, feed it into the collar, and set a choke. He's going to defend it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch my hand in, turn it, pull it out. So my hand's going through. He's going to defend it. There. I'm going to come out. And look, I bend it against my knee. That way I can step over my whole arm and peel it back. I switch my legs and then set my triangle. Okay, my ankles are crossed. And look, my hand still has a grip on the gi. Now my right hand can shoot all the way through. I'm going to put my chin just like I would control the back, ear to ear, and I'm going to fall to the side. Boom. And now I'm just going to start stretching him out. We can look to throw the hooks in, 1, 2 to the back, and just start finishing that strangle. From the other side, we're here. I'm going to control that side. Again, I'm creating pressure with that leg. I found the point on his hip to pressure into. My hand's going in for the choke. He's blocking. I'm going to come out, open, step over, peel it back, switch the legs, set the cross. I'm going to come through, grab. I'm going to get nice and close, step, 1, 2, we fall. His hip falls to the mat. We can throw our leg over. We're going to grab the other collar and then extend out for that finish in that choke. One of the other finishes we can do basically on this same choke is once we have the leg and we have the grip, I have everything tracked. I can come through and I can grab the wrist. I can tuck his elbow between his legs. I'm basically going to pull it in nice and tight. And we're going to shoulder roll over this. 1, 2. We shoulder roll right into our crucifix where we already have the grip and we can look to finish the strangle. Let's take a look at that with the actual grip. So from here, again, I'm heavy on the hip. I have that grip. I'm going to peel the hand out, throw it over, switch my base, lock it up. Okay? My toe is live now because I know I want to push it over. I'm going to pull the hand through while I feed the grip so that his shoulder hits the mat. I'm going to look to my right since I'm choking this way. I'm going to push off my foot, roll over, come up, and finish that strangle, pulling the elbow down to the waist, big chest, pushing our shoulder blades back into the mat to finish the choke. Here's another way to kind of get that arm out of the way. We're going to be here, and let's say we set a seat belt. A lot of times, the white and blue belts will panic, and even some of the upper ranks, when they're tired, they'll just, for some reason, they'll panic and they'll grab a leg. So one of the things you can do is you can just take a step up here where he's going to reach out and then you can peel it. It seems simple, but when he's looking for a way out, because you're creating so much weight on that hip where he feels like he can't go anywhere and you're bumping him and you step up, they'll just reach right out. Switch your base, set the choke, and then look to finish the fight. Let's take a look at when we actually end up in turtle, what we're trying to do to defend the position and what we're really looking to try to accomplish when we're looking to escape. Okay, when we're in the position of turtle here, one of the things I like to focus on is a chin roll. And what that means is I don't sit here like this and look at the mat. I take my chin and I play a natural defense to chokes where I roll up on the top of my head so I can see out the back door. And this allows me to keep my hands free. And now I can see the hand switching that my opponent's doing as if I was sitting here and he was trying to grip fight. So I like to take that chin, use the mat to my advantage in gravity by keeping it naturally tucked so I don't have to use my hands to necessarily defend the chokes. It also makes it a good pivot point to quickly move where I can be here, I can be defending things, and when I'm ready to go, I can pop up and I can make quick motions to try to recover the position. So while my partner is here and he has these grips, the big key factor for me is I can't let him put weight on me, ever. Because if he starts drifting my hip down, I'm pretty much stuck. And that left hand is gonna keep coming in, and there's not much I can do about it. To keep that weight off, I'm gonna put the top of my head down. There, see, he already came forward. And then I can crisscross my arms, again, defending that hook, keeping my elbow in nice and tight from the bottom hook coming into the inside while still defending the choke. I don't have to defend this side of my neck. I see a lot of blue belts and white belts doing this, but there's no choking hand here. What are we doing? This hand has to defend this grip so that he can't control it. This hand defends the choke, and now I can unwind him and possibly look to sneak out the back door and come up. We have to realize where our opponent can really threaten us from, and how are we going to play defense to those things rather than playing defenses to everything. So again, we're in this position. He's staying nice and heavy. I don't hang out here. I put my head down, I push up, and I start fending off this grip. When the other one's coming in, I start fending it off, and I start walking my hips away from him, and I keep walking as he follows, and we just keep this momentum going until hopefully I can either come out into a single, or I can sit and pull. Something happens where I can free that space up. But again, that concept stays the same of defend the choking side, and then defend the hook side by keeping the arm shallow. Escaping the turtle position. It's all going to come from movement and our ability to get out and away from our partner so that we can get an arm to a leg or distance so our hips can clear his hips and he's not attached. What that's going to look like right now is if he comes around to this side, and I'm in turtle here, again, I'm defending here, I'm going to pop up on my head. The key here is to actually not stay on my knees, but hover them so that I can spin a little bit. Now, I've had this problem with some of my white belts before where they can't put that much weight on their head because their neck muscles aren't developed. So we've come up with this where we use an elbow block on his knee to keep him where he is. So when we're in this position, just stay up. And no, I need that. There you go. We're here, and I'm defending. My elbow is gonna sneak just inside his leg so that I can push it with my elbow. Rather than get up and necessarily have to pivot all the way around. Okay? So we're gonna be in a position here. We're nice and tight. He's gonna be attacking with that hand. And I'm gonna use that elbow. I'm gonna still put my head on the ground, but this time, just my hairline so that I can move. And I'm gonna walk on my knees. From here, I keep the grip on the hand. That way I can drop his head to the floor. So I'm gonna turn my hip down, I'm controlling both wrists, and I'm gonna drop my hip. Now his hand is stuck on bottom. I'm gonna come up, I have the waist. We switch our hips, we come up, and I have his arm tucked, and now I'm back on top, looking to score an attack and hopefully finish the fight after getting out of the turtle. Let's take a look from the other side so we can see how the hands are getting stuck. No, all the way up. There we go. So we're here, we're in the turtle, he's posted out, he's setting his grips. We're here. I'm gonna frame on his ankle, walk my hips away, drive up. Okay? Now we're stuck. I'm coming up, tight to the waist. A lot of times I see guys try to go to the back. I'd rather just get into a better position here where now I can look to score rather than possibly running the risk of ending up in the turtle or an open guard. Let's go back. Turn this way. You gotta create a little bit more of an angle. There we go. So we're here. Again, I'm controlling this wrist. I'm not letting his hands come up and ever get connected to each other. This isn't okay. I have to fight tooth and nail to make sure that doesn't happen. So he's coming in with that hand. I'm blocking it. I tuck my elbow and I drop his head. Here, look, I'm blocking his hip. I'm controlling his hand. And now I can swim out to his back and grab his waist. Keep that leg pressure here. Okay, I switched from my elbow to my hand when I opened up, putting his head into the mat. Now I'm going to grab his waist, switch my base, pop up, resting knee to knee. He's going to recover up. And now we're in the position where we can go and start attacking and trying to finish the fight from the turtle.